It's just, what do you value more?
Now, the College Football Playoff Committee website has it as first strength of schedule, second head-to-head competition. My bigger issue is how are we going to value internally head-to-head? Because before we decide how we value it, we can't criticize or compliment how the committee values it.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Tuesday on Crain and Company. As usual, we appreciate you guys watching or listening. Again, without you, there is no us. We are almost to 200,000 subs on YouTube, so make sure if you are watching on YouTube, you're subscribed. Got a hell of a show for you today. Actually, I have two shows coming out today. We have our power rankings that we typically have done on Monday, but we had some coaching reaction stuff yesterday with Justin Hoganson talking about Hugh Freeze, and then our Alabama LSU preview, which you need to check out. We have our power rankings today, and then tonight, all right, we have the College Football Playoff official rankings coming out for the first time all year. It's going to start at 7 o'clock. We are going to have an instant reaction to that that's going to be on the channel. So right when you see those names pop up on the screen, where they're seated, what the matchups are, make sure you head on over to Crain and Company on YouTube and check us out, because we are going to be breaking it down, whether we like it, whether we dislike it. Probably going to be a little bit of both. But we're still going to get our power rankings out this week. David Cone, former Michigan quarterback, Blaine Crain, former Western State, Colorado wide receiver. A lot of movement. There was a ton of things that happened in the ACC last week that caused a decent amount of this movement and kind of this domino effect. But again, just for the viewer, if this is your first time watching this power ranking is a snapshot in time. It is not a projection. It is where we stand today. And Cone, even before we get into this, Maction starts tonight on a Tuesday, which again, we get Maction, we get college football playoff ranking.
Some people might get Maction.
You know, some people might get Maction.
Well, unless YouTube TV and ESPN can figure this thing out.
Yeah, I really didn't want to get super pissed on a Tuesday morning, but the longer this goes on, because now it's affecting college basketball for me too.
Oh, there you go.
I was watching college basketball last night. But listen, I'm out here playing hurt. Throat's a little messed up this morning. That's why I went the David Cone route. I went some hot tea right here.
Smart man.
And we're going to spill the tea a little bit, starting with you, Coney, about these honorable mentions that we have before we get into the top 15. Michigan is not one of them. They would be in what I call the next four out, like we see in bracketology, the first four out, the next four out. But starting off with Utah at 7-2, they've got a loss against Texas Tech. They've got a loss, obviously, at BYU in that game a couple weeks ago. Still some pretty decent ones left on the slate, but they're right there knocking on the door in the Big 12.
Yep, and there are two losses to Texas Tech and BYU, who we have ahead of them. And just so people understand, we each made our top 15 list, and what you're going to see here is a collective average of the positions from each team.
Yeah, again, we did math for the third straight week, and somehow we figured it out.
No one's told us we did it wrong yet.
I think nobody has said we've done it wrong. Sometimes it's an Oppenheimer, can you hear the music type situation. Yeah. So Utah is honorable mention. Blaine, Oklahoma at 7-2 with the loss versus Ole Miss at home, and then against Texas, neutral site. In that rivalry game, the Red River Shootout. They're still in it. Now, they're off this week. Sure. Then you go to Bama. At the end of the day, you control your own destiny. Going into Week 11, you control your own destiny, but it's going to be tough for Oklahoma to find their way in. But if you beat Bama...
Yeah, I mean, if you beat Bama, things look a lot different.
It looks a lot different.
I mean, in my opinion right now, I have Oklahoma ranked in my top 15. You go look at, Miami right now. I understand you have two great wins, but you have two, not good-looking losses. Go look at Oklahoma. You lost to Texas right now, who is ranked, and you lost to Ole Miss right now, who's technically a top 5 team. So in my opinion right now, if I look at Oklahoma, I would put Oklahoma ahead of Miami.
So you value better or bad losses over better wins?
Well, I think they blend. I think you can look at them in certain ways, right? I don't think everything's equal when it comes to that. But I do think you look at Michigan's, you look at Oklahoma's schedule, they have quality wins. Right? They have quality wins, and I think they have quality losses. Miami has quality wins, especially the first couple weeks of the season. But, you lost to a Louisville team who at the time wasn't ranked, and right now you lost to an SMU team that's not ranked.
Well, it's not their fault that they weren't ranked at the time. Louisville's a good football team.
SMU's still not ranked.
Well, I don't think those are terrible losses. But what I'm getting confused is, why would Oklahoma just be ranked ahead of Miami but not Notre Dame, who Miami beat? which is what I really want to get into here when we get to 15.
Head-to-head.
Yeah,
Matter, but I
we
think,
can
I think
wait.
Oklahoma's losses are a lot better than Miami.
All right, well, we'll get to Miami in a second. I just want to finish a couple of these honorable mentions because it's a valid point, and we need to get through the methodology and the metrics of what we value. We've talked about head-to-head. We're going to talk about that again today as we get into this. But the last two honorable mentions, USC. Now, remember, USC is 6-2, so they haven't played as many games because of the bye week situation as the other three we have an honorable mention. And again, their losses are on the road at Notre Dame, and then on the road at Illinois. We know that Illinois now has 3 losses. And the last one is Vandy, who you want to talk about, really good losses. Well, their losses are at Bama and at Texas. And the more Texas wins, and we're going to see what happens with Texas and Georgia that's coming up that's massive. And then we got Texas and Texas A&M. Vandy and the rest of their schedule is not a cakewalk, but they still control their own destiny. They get Auburn at home. Then again, they get Tennessee, the last game of the year in a rivalry game on the road. So Vandy is still in the hunt. So those are our top 4 honorable mentions: Utah, Oklahoma, USC, and Vandy. Let's go ahead and get to 5.
I do want to say it'll be really interesting to see if it matters at all the way that Vanderbilt came back against Texas and lost by 3.
Yeah.
It's going to be really interesting.
matter?
Well,
it was
to me,
what was it, 34-10?
Well,
it was 34-10 at the beginning of the 4th.
To me, when we're going to start looking at that means we're starting to split hairs.
Well, I think we're going to be.
But you need no, and again, that's probably the scenario we're going to have. I'm not saying it's not a valid point. I think it would actually be more fun if we got to that point. That means so many teams are still in the running. But that stuff, optics matter, especially at the end of the season, whether we like it or not. I'm a huge full body of work guy. You can't discount the first 4 games of the season and act like the rest matters most. But optics do matter. If Vandy got their ass beat to death against Texas, that would look a lot different than losing by 3 on the road.
Yeah, and one more point since you brought up USC and Michigan. USC has 1 fewer game because they've gotten, I think, both of those byes out of the way.
Yes.
But to me, you still have the same number of losses. Yes, like Michigan's had to play 1 extra game, but USC has that head-to-head win. You're talking about blowing out by 3 touchdowns. Granted, it was in Los Angeles, but to me, like, Michigan can't jump USC unless there's another loss.
I agree with that.
Which is what we're going to get into here.
And that's how it should be. All right, I want to get back to this conversation we were just having because it's a really good one. We have Miami at 15. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, obviously, there's only 12 teams that can make the playoff, and one of them has to be a group of 5. So you're really looking at a pool of 11 teams. So 15 isn't even really on the top of the bubble. You're still kind of you're at the very end of the bubble trying to work your way up. We've talked about Miami. I don't think they're going to make the college football playoff. But when you look at a Miami, and this is where, again, when we do it by way of math, sometimes it can spit out some things that are contradictory in nature. But we found that's the best system to do it when you're compiling a list of 3 people into one. But Miami at 15 and Oklahoma, Blaine, you brought up, not at 15. What do we value more? Because when you look at Miami's losses, they are to Louisville and they are to SMU. And we can only go off those losses right now because if it ends up where SMU ends up playing in the ACC championship game, or Louisville does too, which both of those things can happen, and they finish ranked, that's a different scenario. But do you value better losses over good losses with not great wins, really good wins but not great wins, or do you value really great wins over bad losses when we're comparing teams?
Should one be valued more than the other, or should they be both weighted?
I think wins should be valued over losses, if I had to pick one.
Wow.
Now, again, there's degrees of separation. If Oklahoma had lost to the Citadel, that's a lot different than looking at some of the losses they have. So what are your best wins? So when you look at Miami.
I got Miami's pulled up right now.
Go ahead. Miami's best wins, what, Notre Dame? Notre Dame. What would you say their second best win is? Looking through it.
I would probably say South Florida.
So South Florida would be their second best.
Florida State. It's South Florida or Florida State.
I would say South Florida is probably
Florida.
Yeah, Florida. Do you weigh
Who
that
beat
as
Texas?
Do you weigh that as a better win as?
Not necessarily, but then how? So then, if that's not a good win for them, then it has to be a terrible loss for Texas.
Sure,
that's how this works.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Like that has to be a terrible loss for Texas, which I don't think it is.
Well,
in the what type of loss would you? What would be a terrible loss in your opinion?
If Texas lost to Bethune-Cookman,
Okay.
or let's give you a real world one. Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois a year ago.
Okay.
And they made it to the national championship.
Would you call it a bad loss, or would you just call it a loss? The Florida game.
Oh yeah, I would call it a bad loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Oklahoma, right? We know who Oklahoma's lost to. I just brought that up. They lost against Ole Miss, who's top 10, right? Lost against Texas, who
at the time was not ranked.
is not ranked, but I mean, where they are right now, we got to sit here and look at it and be honest. Texas is obviously still in the hunt, and they're looking like they're getting better offensively. But when you look at Oklahoma's wins, what are their best wins? Michigan?
Yep, best one's Michigan, Tennessee.
And then Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I could understand an argument for people saying Oklahoma should be 15 here and not Miami. I just think I think it's decently close. I do think it's decently close.
Does it matter at all to you two when it comes to eye test? Do you think Oklahoma's playing better football right now than Miami?
I don't think either one of them are playing great football
I
right
agree
now.
with that, actually.
Okay.
Like, I know Oklahoma went on the road to beat Tennessee. I'm not discounting that at all. I know how
Which is
tough
an
it
impressive
to win.
win.
It's an impressive win. But I don't think, obviously Miami's not playing like they were at the beginning of the season. I don't think Oklahoma is either getting away with the stuff they were getting away with at the beginning of the season. And you did have the Mateer injury that happened, and I understand that. But there's still so many questions for Oklahoma up front on that offensive line that worry me. So, again, we can play it out. It's just, what do you value more when it comes down to
I'm not really personally worried about Miami against Oklahoma because we have 3-4 more games left to play. Sure. Like, we're going to get a bigger sample size. My bigger issue is how are we going to value internally head-to-head? Because before we decide how we value it, we can't criticize or compliment how the committee values it. Now, the College Football Playoff Committee website has it as the second thing under principles. First, strength of schedule. Second, head-to-head competition. And here Miami is 15, and Notre Dame's going to be ahead of them. Yep. But they have that win. So does head-to-head only matter when you're comparing one-loss teams, or does it matter when you're comparing two-loss teams? Because we have Texas ahead of Oklahoma, so that tracks. But we have Notre Dame ahead of Miami.
My rule of thumb, and again, this is a simple way to look at it, but I think it's the best way to look at it, is, and again, this is a list that's compiled by all three of us. I just want to make sure I point that out again for the audience. My rule of thumb is, if the records are equal, head-to-head trumps everything. It trumps, that is number one for me. It's not number two. If Team A finishes 10-2, and Team B finishes 10-2, and Team A beat Team B, Team A should jump them. Now,
I agree with that. That's why I put Miami ahead of Notre Dame. And I don't care when it happened.
Yeah.
Everyone's complaining that it happened the first week of the season. Like, that was this year. Mm-hmm. It's not like they did it 3 years ago.
I can understand putting Miami ahead of Notre Dame. To me, it's almost to the point of when we get into selecting the playoff teams and it comes down to choosing those, that's when I would say, all right, Miami's 10-2, Notre Dame's 10-2. These are the last two teams we're talking about getting in, or these are two teams that are on the bubble. I would take Miami if I was on the committee.
So that gets into an important question before the committee goes tonight, because you two guys had Notre Dame ahead of Miami. Is it better to rank them ahead earlier and then let that team jump them at the end of the year? Or is it better to just go ahead and rank them, whoever won the head-to-head, this early? I
will rank them as we go on, how they're playing and like when they lost. Like, again, that's why I did have Notre Dame ahead of Miami in mind, because in my 15 right now, because obviously Miami just lost again. Notre Dame hasn't lost since earlier the year. But at the end, when it comes down to it, if they're two equal records, I will take Miami over Notre Dame because of the head-to-head. But I would rather rank it right now the way it's going on. That way, if Miami or Notre Dame loses again, right, if Miami needs to jump Notre Dame, they will naturally. And then if Miami loses again, it's a moot point if Notre Dame doesn't lose. So I'm going to rank them in real time when they lost by the season or during the season. But then at the end, if everything is equal and we're choosing who gets in and who gets eliminated and who doesn't, I'm going to take the team with head-to-head.
Okay.
I just think that's
that seems like a thing that we will be mad at the committee, though, if they do that. If they have Notre Dame ahead of Miami for the next 5 weeks when they do this selection show, and then on Selection Sunday, they're like, well, we have to backtrack now and put Miami over Notre Dame or Texas, Oklahoma, or any of these situations where you have a head-to-head competitor, and they do that in the 11th hour, it seems like that's something that we would be
I think the
about.
difference is we're saying that we're going to do that. Like, right, if the committee came out tonight and said what I just said about the head-to-head, at least I'd have a heads up if I was a Miami or a Notre Dame fan. I could say, all right, well, I'm not going to sit here and just wait to be surprised on Selection Day. But you brought up the principles. That's apparently not how they're looking at it. It's strength of schedule first, head-to-head second. So who has the better strength of schedule between Notre Dame or Miami right now?
Do you think that's in there just to protect against group of 5 teams?
If they put the
Because-
number one thing to protect against group of five teams, when you gave a group of five team an automatic slot, y'all are as dumb as I think.
Well,
y'all
the
are.
problem is, like, whose strength of schedule are you going to use? Like, who gets to determine that? And then when do you decide? Do you decide at the very end of the year? I mean, Miami and Notre Dame, because Notre Dame already plays this quasi-ACC schedule anyway, they already have 4 overlap opponents. Unfortunately, none of those are the 2 teams that Miami's already lost to. So Notre Dame won't play Louisville or SMU. But Syracuse, NC State, Pitt, Stanford, those are 4 crossover opponents for them.
Yeah, and I think you wait till the end of the year to look. That's why, to be honest with you, if we really just wanted to do, it's a TV show. That's why they do these rankings early. That's why they do rankings really in the first place. If we really did it the right way, you know when we'd find out who made the college football playoff? After the season, the conference championship game. There would be no week 11 college football playoff rankings. It's here's our principles we're looking at. Here are the teams. It's one ranking. Here's who gets in. It's just like with March Madness. Now, ESPN will put out bracketology and this, that, or the other, and you look at these other places, but the committee doesn't sit here and say, all right, guys, here's who is in right now. They don't tell you that. You know when you find out? On Selection Sunday.
This
That's
is
when you
directly
find out.
from their website under principles. The committee will select the teams using a process that distinguishes among otherwise comparable teams by considering strength of schedule, head-to-head competition, comparative outcomes of common opponents, parentheses, without incenting margin of victory. I don't know how you do that without margin of victory,
Right.
like we just talked about with Vanderbilt. And last point, other relevant factors such as unavailability of key players and coaches that may have affected a team's performance during the season or likely will affect its postseason.
But is that ranked,
I'm
though?
a Florida
Is
State
strength
fan.
of schedule like ranked 1? Like in our...
It's not 1, 2, 3.
Here's the
it's
rubric
bullet
we're
point.
grading you
It's
on.
the second bullet point.
Yeah, so you really don't know if one matters more than
See, that's the problem. We're telling you while we're doing it. Like, so you can see how the sausage is made. We have no idea. They just say shit. And then it's just like, all right. And then it's contradictory. But let's move on. 14, another ACC team, Georgia Tech, right? Who has obviously fallen since the last time we ranked them because they had that loss on the road at NC State, their first loss of the year. You look at Georgia Tech, we want to talk about great wins. Really not a great win on the Georgia Tech schedule right now. I know, Clemson obviously fell off a cliff, but where Georgia Tech sits right now, they have 1 loss in the ACC. Miami has 2 losses in the ACC. But after last weekend, with what we had happen, it looks to me like the ACC is going to get 1 in. Today's episode is sponsored by Raycon. Stay aware of your surroundings while enjoying music, podcasts, or calls with Raycon's essential open earbuds. They're ideal for workouts, commutes, or just relaxing. And you can save up to 30% on all Raycon products this Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Now, Raycon's essential open earbuds deliver crystal clear sound while keeping you connected to your surroundings. It's a great stocking stuffer, too. Christmas is right around the corner. They sit just outside your ear canal, so you stay aware of traffic, coworkers, or whatever's happening around you without sacrificing audio quality. They're lightweight, and they're comfortable enough for all-day wear. They never feel bulky, and the secure fit helps keep them in place whether you're at the gym, out for a walk, or just powering through your daily tasks. Now, what makes them my everyday go-to? Well, you get 8 hours of battery life from the earbuds and 36 hours total with the charging case. That's a lot. So you're covered for days of nonstop listening. And if you're juggling multiple devices, first off, congrats on being able to juggle, but the multi-point connectivity lets you switch between them seamlessly and very easy. Again, we've used them for years. We absolutely love them. That's why we recommend them. And Black Friday is right around the corner, and Raycon audio products are up to 30% off site-wide, from everyday essentials to the latest releases. So make sure you head on over there and get them now before they're gone. Go to buyraycon.com/boosteropen to save on Raycon audio products site-wide.
There are 5 one-loss teams in the ACC. I'm talking about conference.
It's
5 one-loss, and Virginia's 5-0 because their loss to NC State was not a conference.
which is the dumbest thing.
So Georgia Tech is now at risk of not even competing in the ACC championship.
That's what, again, the cushion is gone.
and
for
they're
Georgia Tech,
at Boston College.
which they should win.
Yeah, I mean Boston College played a little close to Notre Dame, 25.
They always say that. Well, typically
Then you
they
have
get up.
Pitt at home. That's going to be an absolute
big one.
slugfest, which
Yeah.
I can't wait for. And then you have Georgia.
Well, that's
At
the
home.
real that's the real conversation. If Georgia Tech goes 10-2, plays and again loses to Georgia for that second loss, which is not an ACC loss, they win the ACC championship if they make it in there. Obviously, they're going to make the college football playoff. But does a 10-2 Georgia Tech that just lost to Georgia and has that loss to NC State, that doesn't play in the ACC championship, I don't think they get in.
Yeah.
Does a 10-3 Georgia Tech team that finished the regular season 10-2 but lost in the ACC championship get in? I don't think so.
Yeah, and that's where you're going to have that's where you're going to have Georgia Tech fans and other conferences, who risked it in the championship game complain that, you got other teams like Notre Dame sitting at home. But then it's not just Notre Dame. You're going to have a bunch of 10-2 teams. Possibly, Oregon could be 11-1 sitting at home.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten championship.
That would be
absolutely insane.
That would be absolutely insane. But let's stay in the ACC here, guys. Again, 13 through 15 is all ACC, and there is Louisville. And Jeff Brom and Miller Moss and this group that had that huge win over Miami on the road. They were able to win this past weekend as well. They've got their one loss is to who? Why am I?
Loss is to Virginia.
Virginia at home
by 3.
That's right. What is the rest of Louisville's schedule?
You have Cal at home. You have Clemson at home. You go on the road at SMU, and then obviously you finish against your rival Kentucky.
So, it feels like basically Louisville's in the same spot as Georgia Tech, right? Pretty much.
It's similar. It is similar. They'll get opportunities here to win some clutch football games down the stretch, particularly a win at SMU after SMU already beat Miami.
Yeah, that would be huge, and that may end up being a clincher for them if it works out a certain way. What would you?
And would be their last conference game.
I'm just looking right now at the ACC standings. David already brought it up. There's a couple teams that could throw some wrenches in a lot of things.
For sure. Well,
Duke. You're still 4-1 in conference. SMU, you're still 4-1 in conference, and Pitt. You're 5-1 in conference. I'm pretty sure Pitt. If I look at Pitt's schedule right now, you still have, you have Notre Dame at home. You're at Georgia Tech. Then you have Miami at home to finish.
Pitt's going to have to win the ACC to make the college football playoff, but they could. Let's go ahead and throw 12 up there. Let's go ahead and throw 12 up here. SEC, Texas. If there was ever a time where Texas was sneaky, it's right now. But we look at the rest of the schedule, and the longer this thing goes, now that they have 2 losses, we're getting the back end of it. Blaine, just quickly read the rest of Texas's schedule so our audience can understand.
Yeah.
This is a fragile 12 right now.
You're at Georgia. Arkansas at home.
Because you got a bye week this week.
You have a bye week. Then you're at Georgia. You're Arkansas at home. Mm-hmm. And obviously you finish with A&M at home.
Control your own destiny. Before the season, I had a 9-3 Texas making the college football playoff. Not that I think that's impossible and out of the question now. I think the chances of a 9-3 team that doesn't win a conference championship making the college football playoff cone, I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, but you had a 9-3 Texas team not making the SEC championship game and getting selected at large for the college football playoff. Let's just remember that first loss is out of conference. They lost to the Buckeyes.
It is.
You could have a Texas team possibly still make the SEC championship game, pick up a third loss there. That would be a very indirect way to do it. But that would mean wins at Georgia, and that would mean wins against Texas A&M at home.
So I'm just thinking right here. Obviously, Georgia doesn't play A&M, so Texas can really just clinch it themselves.
Well,
they can clinch a spot. You beat Georgia. You beat Georgia. You now have the tie. Well, I'm talking about one of the 2 teams. Just follow the bouncing balls with me here. Texas if they beat Georgia.
Okay.
All right. That will be Georgia's second loss.
Sure.
That'll be Georgia's second loss in the SEC. Texas would only have 1 loss and the tiebreaker over Georgia. So Texas would be in over Georgia. Alabama would be in over Georgia because Alabama has the tiebreaker and still has 1 less loss right now. It doesn't look like they're going to lose for the rest of the regular season. But then Texas plays Texas A&M. Mm-hmm. So if Texas beats Georgia and then the next team they play is Arkansas at home, they should win that game. They get A&M at home. If they beat A&M and they go 10-2, even if A&M is 11-0 in that game, Texas jumps A&M because of the head-to-head, and it's Alabama and Texas.
Not necessarily, because then it would depend on if Ole Miss wins out.
I'm tripping.
Yeah, right? Then you'd have so then Alabama would be in if they went out. Then you'd have a tiebreaker scenario between Texas and Ole Miss.
God, how would that end up working out? Texas is 2 losses.
We're here.
Which that might be where the Florida game comes into play.
That has to be where the Florida game comes into play because, Ole Miss, their only loss would be on the road at Georgia.
But also,
Texas would have
that's where Georgia, though. But Ole Miss's losses at Georgia, Texas would have beaten Georgia.
Yeah, you'd have the head-to-head over Georgia.
We would look that happens. We're going to have to dive into the tiebreakers.
More better wins or bad losses.
We'll have to dive into the tiebreakers. All right, let's get to 11. Virginia. I mean,
Ow.
4 of these top 5, the whole damn ACC is basically 10 through 15, the teams that are left. Virginia, another team that is just finding ways to continue to win. And remember, like we said every week, their one loss right now is to an ACC team, but wait, an NC State. Didn't mean for that to rhyme. But it didn't count as an ACC game, which is bullshit. You shouldn't be able to do that. That just sucks. What are y'all doing?
Yeah,
What
how
are we
does that
doing?
happen?
Oh, we're over here in the SEC. They're begging not to play a 9-game in-conference schedule. Virginia just scheduling more conference games because why the hell not? So Virginia sitting right now, Blaine, with 1 loss, and they have wins over Louisville,
Yep. Florida State.
Keep going.
North Carolina by 1.
North Carolina, survive.
William and Mary.
Cal.
William and they had 2
Coastal.
Marys, not enough Williams. All right.
Washington State by 2.
Okay.
Then,
Cal.
I mean, for the remainder of your schedule, you have Wake at home.
Okay.
You have at Duke.
There you go.
Then you got Virginia Tech at home.
All right. You control it. You're undefeated in the ACC.
Yep.
Virginia controls it. Now, here's where it's going to get weird. What if Virginia finishes 11-1, loses in the ACC championship?
Yeah.
Is that the best chance for the ACC to get to now? It's just one team to, because I feel like Virginia has a better chance to go 11-1 than Georgia Tech does.
Well, the loss to NC State won't be counted by the ACC, but it will be counted by the College Football Playoff Committee.
1,000%.
Right. So I still think we got to see how Virginia finishes, but they're going to have to lose 2 more of those 3 games, in my
be put
opinion,
out of the
to not be in the ACC championship.
For sure. And Georgia Tech lost to NC State.
Yeah.
So you got to weigh that one the same if you're looking at Virginia and Georgia Tech there. All right, let's go to 10. We have now started the top 10.
There they are.
There they are. There they are. Notre Dame. Hadn't lost since started out 0-2, losing to Miami and losing to A&M. Blaine, you said it. The minute after they beat Arkansas, you're like, Notre Dame's going to make the playoff at 10-2. And this is where I think, like we mentioned earlier, not to relitigate what we talked about at the beginning, we're going to find out what really matters more, strength of schedule or head-to-head. Because when you read the rest of Notre Dame's schedule, go through
Yep, you have Navy at home.
Okay.
God, it could have been a big game, but Navy blew it. We all saw it. At Pitt, sneaky football game.
Yep.
Syracuse at home. Shout out Frank Brown. Then you're at Stanford to finish the year.
Okay. So when you look at Notre Dame's strength of schedule at the end of the year, do we think it's going to be better than Miami?
No. No.
You don't
but
think
even-
so?
No. But even if it were, it would be marginal. And
Yeah.
to me, couldn't trump a head-to-head victory.
I agree with that 100%.
Like the strength
Agree
of
with that
schedule, that's
100%.
why I brought up the group of 5. Like the strength of schedule would need to be like you have played a complete group of 5 schedule and you're comparing it to like Ole Miss or Alabama or something like that.
yeah. Which, I mean, that's
It's not Miami and Notre Dame schedules.
Yeah, see, well,
Where you have 4 overlapping opponents and you already played each other.
yeah, the head-to-head should negate all of it, like we said. It's just, again, we told people kind of how we're ranking it now as we're going, as opposed to, at least how individually we would pick a team at the
And
end.
I say that as someone who thinks Notre Dame is a very dangerous team.
Yeah,
I think they could do some damage in the college.
These are real-world
If
facts.
it came down to who do you think the committee would take?
Notre Dame.
You think they'd take Notre Dame over Miami?
I think
Well,
they do.
they need to be very careful if they're going to disregard head-to-head
Sure.
precedents. And it matters because this came up. This really was the thing that led to Florida State getting snubbed when they were undefeated the last year of the 4-team college football playoff. It was the Texas victory at Alabama because Texas had that head-to-head win.
Yeah.
But Texas went on to lose Red River, still won the Big 12. Alabama's only loss was to Texas out of conference, beat Georgia in the SEC championship game. Then you had undefeated Michigan, undefeated Washington, and undefeated Florida State in the other 3 conferences. They said, we can't take Alabama unless we take Texas, or else we're going to disregard head-to-head. But we've also never not taken an undefeated team.
Yeah.
Florida State was on the short end of the stick.
Oh, FSU fans, I know that one still hurts. All right, we've got Oregon at 9. Okay, and you look at Oregon, this goes back to the great loss versus great wins, or which one do you weigh more? Oregon, especially now that Penn State's continued to fall, where's the good win? Give me a good win. Find me one.
Northwestern on the road.
I didn't say in a damn reading contest.
Northwestern's beat some people.
Yeah.
Oh,
They really
how
don't
is the
have
Penn
one,
State?
Which sucks to say because you went and beat Penn State on the.
How is that?
You know, like if you're
How
Dan-
did,
if
how
you're
did you
Dan
fall
Lanning-
off such a
David,
cliff?
if you're Dan
that,
Lanning-
that can't even be a good win for Oregon.
I know.
The year I picked you,
Of
Penn
course,
State,
of
I'll
course.
never forget.
How
it.
Which again, at this point in time, it's not a good win. I hate to look, at the
not.
time it was,
not.
and it goes back to Cohn's
not.
argument.
But I do think you
And
have
this is
the
why
Bain
it's
rule.
important to use your eyeballs more than you use whatever preseason ranking
Sure.
that you have.
Yes, but that's
1000%.
again why I like waiting till the end.
Yes.
So we can see and say, all right, this is how the story went. At this time, we thought it was going to be a great story, but the rest of the movie sucked. And then your loss is to obviously Indiana.
Indiana by 10.
the top
I mean, you
three.
look at the rest of their schedule. They just came off of beating Wisconsin 21-7. I mean, not great. You're at Iowa.
That'll be a good win.
That'll be a good win. Iowa's.
Now, I think Iowa should be ranked.
should be ranked. We've been
Yeah.
putting on this show for weeks. Minnesota at home. Okay, then you have USC at home, right? And then you go on the road at the end of the year to Washington.
Yeah, which you get those two.
But not only would those be 3 very impressive wins out of 4 at Iowa, USC at home, and at Washington,
Yeah.
but it also won't matter because if you're 11-1,
You're in.
You're 11-1.
Since they let Indiana in at that 11-1 that they were, that's what I was saying. It's kind of, and I will say, I think Oregon's schedule, especially in the
This will
back
be a
end,
lot better
is
11.
stronger, a lot stronger than Indiana's last year. But I just find it funny up to this point. Oregon is kind of on the Indiana trail of finishing, 11-1 and not having the strongest strength of schedule. And the one top team at the end of the day that you played, it was Indiana who beat you at home. I love how college
Kinda
football is
funny.
ironic. Texas Tech at 8. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Look, you and I make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right can actually get you paid. So don't miss any of the excitement this sports season. On Prize Picks, whether you're a football fan, basketball fan, or a fan of both like us, it always feels good to be right. We throw lineups out there all the time, and these new features, regardless of what league you like to follow, makes it so much better. Prize Picks makes daily fantasy simple. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and when you get your picks right, you could cash in. And here's what's new. Prize Picks offers stacks, so you can pick the same player up to 3 times in one lineup. You want to go all in on Steph Curry's points, threes, and assists? Well, now you can stack them all together in the same lineup. Only on Prize Picks. You can also follow other Prize Picks players like us directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend or just someone who picks like you, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new feed tab. Plus, if one of your players gets injured in the first half and doesn't return, Prize Picks won't count it as a loss with their injury reboots. Withdrawals are fast and secure with options like Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits you can trust. Millions of users on America's #1 fantasy sports app. Download Prize Picks today and put your skills to the test this season. Go ahead and download the app, use our code BOOSTER, and you get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code BOOSTER. Get that $50 after you play your first $5. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Now, you got BYU at home this weekend.
Yeah.
You want to talk about cementing here, and I actually went back and forth on this of if you're Brett Yormark and you're the Big 12 commissioner, would you rather, if you're trying to get 2 teams in, if it's a race with the ACC to get 2 teams in, wouldn't you rather BYU finish the season undefeated and lose the conference championship game to somebody? Therefore, BYU ends up 12-1. You got to put them in. And then the winner of the Big 12 Conference Championship game automatically gets in. Is that the only scenario now we're looking at where BYU, because if BYU loses,
I see what you're saying. So
see what I'm
you're saying BYU to win at Lubbock, which would put Texas Tech out of both the Big 12.
Yeah, it'd be very tough. Which we
and then lose to like whoever would be next up, like Cincinnati or somebody upsets BYU
in the Big 12,
championship game, gets the automatic berth.
Yes.
But that was BYU's only loss. Very similar to TCU in 22.
in a 4-team.
In a 4-team when they made it, but didn't win the Big 12.
They would be in.
I thought
BYU
what you were
would
going to
be in.
say is, wouldn't you rather Texas Tech win this game so that they move forward with only 1 loss? It does give BYU their first loss, but you're setting up for a rematch in the Big 12 championship game where one of them will win with only 1 loss and the other one lost their conference championship game, and would they still get in?
Well, I just think, again, that scenario could work, but I think the most concrete one is that BYU goes undefeated. Like, that's the most guaranteed. The one you stated would be like 1B, like 1A scenario, then 1B scenario. But Texas Tech's going to get a chance.
And realistically, Texas Tech could lose against BYU and still find themselves in.
So give us the top 5 of the Big 12,
so
or
right
just
now,
the relevant ones. At the top.
It's BYU, Texas Tech, Cincinnati, Houston, Utah.
Give us a record. Give us
Conference-wise, obviously BYU's undefeated. Texas Tech's 5-1. Cincinnati's 5-1. Houston's 4-2, and Utah's 4-2.
Okay.
Cincinnati with the rest of their schedule right now. Obviously, you just lost to Utah. You have Arizona at home.
Okay.
Sneaky game. You have BYU at home.
Okay.
And then you're on the road at TCU.
Wow.
Right. And so if you're Texas Tech and you lose this BYU game, you have UCF and West Virginia.
So if you win both of those, and I know West Virginia beat Houston, who's got, that's why, so Utah's got the head-to-head over Cincinnati.
Yeah, but Texas Tech has the head-to-head over Utah.
Over Utah.
And Texas Tech also has the head-to-head over Houston.
Okay. Okay.
So when you're talking about Brett Yormark wanting to get multiple teams in the college football playoff, like from my perspective, I'd rather get the best team from my conference in there who could win the most games in the playoff rather than multiple teams. How do you guys feel about that? Like if you said you're guaranteed right now to get 2 teams from the Big 12 in, or you could only get 1 team, but they're going to go to the Final Four.
Would that two team include your best team?
Well, I'm saying you could get 2 in, but they both get bounced in the first.
Oh, okay.
Or you get 1, but they go to the Final Four.
Well, in that case,
I'd rather have the. I mean, it's a.
I'd rather have. I know. As the commissioner, I'd rather have as many teams in as possible.
Even if I told you it's a guarantee they lose in the first round. See, I'd rather.
I mean, yeah, but like the alternative.
Arizona State, right?
Yeah, the alternative is you have one team that makes it that's really good that wins a couple games. See, to me, I think an even better question may be like, well, then would you rather just BYU go undefeated and win the conference championship and be 13-0 and possibly get the number 1 overall seed?
I think if you get one team in and they win multiple games, maybe make it to the semifinals, I think that proves more to your conference that it was tougher to play and win games. And if you have 2 teams just go in there and get their ass kicked and get put out the
well, he said lose, not ass kicked. If it's a tight game, like. I just think it shows conference strength the most teams you can get in because that's what everybody bitches and complains about the most.
See, I think conference strength would be better showcased if you go and can beat some teams. And win some
well, I mean, in a perfect way.
That was the thing about SMU last year. Everyone was like, well, see what happens when you let a 1-loss team or a 2-loss team from the ACC in? They're just going to get slaughtered. Whereas if the Big 12 could at least send BYU or Texas Tech or whoever and like make it to the Final Four, that would send a big statement.
No, it'd be a good look. But both of them would be really good looks. That's an interesting question. We got to just have Yormark on and ask him.
Come on.
Let's get him.
Yeah, let's get him on. All right, let's go to 7. Ole Miss. Ho-hum.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, like we can, and we'll go through the rest of these teams. Ole Miss is in the college football playoff.
Yep.
They're in this thing. Like the question now is to see, go to there.
I just hate how we're just writing off the Egg Bowl like this. You never know what happens in the Egg Bowl.
Okay, well, let's say they lose it. Are they going to lose to the Citadel?
No.
Pretty good team.
Are they going to lose to Florida at home?
Don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because they only have 1 loss right now, and a 10-2 Ole Miss team's going to make it in. Now,
10-2 Ole Miss is in.
If they lost the Egg Bowl, they're not making the SEC championship game. Then Jake's scenario of Texas jumping Texas A&M with a win over them and Georgia, that you would have an Alabama-Texas SEC championship game.
For sure. It's just I still think a 10-2 Ole Miss with a loss to Mississippi State, I don't think hosts a game in the first round. I think they go on the road. But that's a good part about Mississippi State not being just trash this year. And Jeff Lebby, I don't know if the committee's watched any games yet all year, but Mississippi State's obviously been in a lot of dogfights, pun intended.
I mean, look, Florida took Georgia down to the wire. I've seen Mississippi State take teams down to the wire. So, I mean, Ole Miss is obviously going to be favored in those football games, but, I mean, you never know these days.
10-2 Ole Miss gets in. It's going to be fun to watch where this ends up because, again, they are one of the teams that's, obviously has a chance to still make the SEC championship. We're going to see with A&M and Bama. But another team that's still in it is Georgia at 6. Blaine, you mentioned they host Texas after they got a bye this week too, right?
Yeah, I believe.
Yeah, Georgia. I believe Georgia has a bye.
No, they do not have
a
bye
don't?
this week. They have Mississippi State on the 8th. So that's
okay. So they got Mississippi State, then they got Texas at home, then Georgia Tech.
Yeah, you're on the road.
Texas, Charlotte.
Yeah,
and then Georgia Tech.
You're on the road to Mississippi State, Texas at home. You have Charlotte at home, and then obviously you finish the year versus Georgia Tech.
You better wake your ass up to go play in Starkville too now.
So
you ain't gonna be able to roll it out there. And
these are their last 2 SEC games: Mississippi State and Texas.
Yep.
Then Charlotte and Georgia Tech will be out of conference. So they will have sealed their fate when everyone else is fighting in the conference those last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I still, if Georgia, drops another game, that'd be their second loss. Obviously, I still think a Georgia 10-2 team definitely gets in. especially with Georgia Tech doing what they're doing. If that were to be that second loss, or even if they were to beat Georgia Tech.
Well, yeah, if a 10-2 Ole Miss is going to get in, a 10-2 Georgia's definitely going to
for sure
head over Ole Miss.
And they should be higher than Ole Miss. That's why I don't think Ole Miss would host a game. I think Georgia would end up hosting a game if they finished 10-2. It'd be interesting to see. But we got BYU at 5.
Here we go. Come on.
Undefeated. Start treating them like it. Now that you go beat Texas Tech, we got another conversation, right? Because again, there's Alabama. I mean, you go and throw it 4. Go and throw it 4 because this goes hand in hand. Bama's at 4 with 1 loss. If BYU beats Texas Tech, and I picked Bama to win the national championship this year, I still feel really good about it. But if BYU beats Texas Tech, when we do our power rankings next week, BYU should be ahead of Alabama. That's what I think.
And I think
that's
well,
where
I think both of us both had BYU ahead.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which is why you see them split right there.
Yeah, that's and again, this win for BYU, if they're able to go on the road to beat Texas Tech, I think we would all have. I'm just waiting.
Yeah.
This is my last week. Before I just pull the trigger, your top 4. Let's talk about.
Not only on the road at Texas Tech. I mean, you still have to go on the road at Cincinnati as well. And right now,
you gonna earn this one.
Cincinnati's sitting 3rd in the Big 12.
Yeah. No, you gonna earn this one for sure. But Alabama sitting right there 2 at 4 with that.
What
one.
a story, man! I just don't know if we talk about it enough. Really,
I think we do.
I don't think Caleb. Look, and I don't know if Caleb DeBoer gets enough credit. Like you want to talk about just.
Flipping the script?
Just absolutely. I mean, there were people, torches on the fence.
Yeah.
Like ready to throw you out of the town, man. That first game against Florida State, the way you lost, you got guys laughing at the end of it. And after that, you better show up at the weight room on time and no more chains. And they just been on a roll of kicking people's asses.
It's that easy.
And
That's
not only
easy.
that,
Just show up on time.
Not only after that are you on a 7-game win streak, but Auburn fired their head coach. LSU fired their head coach. Tennessee just got knocked out of the playoff. Your 3 biggest rivals. Like, what a time to be alive in college football.
And just the way
the good times never seem to stop.
The way Alabama finished the year last year and the way you came out this year, no one expected this to happen.
Yeah.
I would have been, you could have told me that Kalen DeBoer would have got fired before Brian Kelly. And I'd have been like, yeah, I can see it.
No, that's a legitimate thing. I think that a lot of people agree. But again, credit to him.
Hell yeah.
But now, LSU, say what you will, without Brian Kelly, whatever.
They're going to beat
rivalry
LSU
game. Okay. All right. Oklahoma.
That one to me.
Iron Bowl.
See, that one to me is weird because that's a game where Alabama's offensive line, I think, is going to have to.
Do they have another regular season loss in them? That's the question.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but it's not guaranteed. I don't feel as good about it as I do with some of these others.
And
definitely not Ole Miss.
Look,
I don't feel as good about Alabama winning out as I do Ole Miss.
Well, and keep in mind, even if they do have another regular season loss in them, that Florida State loss was out of conference.
See, here's the thing. Who's the loss to, though?
Well, yeah, I guess
because if it's to LSU or Auburn, that's not going to matter in any of the head-to-heads that you already have over Georgia. You obviously haven't played A&M. You're not going to play A&M. So you still got the head-to-head over Georgia. Where that one loss would get weird was if it came down to, all right, well, A&M finishes undefeated, so they're in. Bama's got 1 loss. Georgia's got 1 loss. Ole Miss has 1 loss. Bama trumps Georgia. Georgia trumps Ole Miss. It's a 3-way tie with one. We got Billy Bob Thornton's got to go to a gas station and flip a coin. Let's hope to see who gets there. But all right, 3, A&M. I'm taking a lot of heat about the Hugh Freeze recommendation. But Mike Elko's son landed the plane on that one.
so excited. Dude.
Oh, landed the plane on that one. I just love the way these guys play the game. You want to know why it works for Mike Elko? Because he's a tough ass. And he's an ugly cat, too, but it don't matter. We love Mike here.
Mike.
No, I'm telling you. Ugly. Look at Josh Heupel. He ain't winning any GQ awards. That's what Auburn may need an ugly
catching.
dude.
You're just
crazy.
Rival's like, how am I catching this straight right now?
Get these guys on the show now.
Kirby's smart. Got Lane Kiffin's making fun of his weight.
Shovel face.
Sometimes you got to be so. My dad used to say that the only way he could get a date was he had to make 15 tackles. Sometimes you got to make 15 tackles to make the magic happen, brother. And I think there's something to it. That's why the more I think about this John Summerall hire,
there's no way A&M just falls apart down the stretch, right?
At Missouri, South Carolina.
You'd love that, wouldn't you? Just the way you said that, looking like Draco Malfoy over there.
Can
slither in
speaking parcel tongue.
What's the vibe going to be in College Station if you broke through, No more 8-4. Not even 9-3.
You wanna talk about
We're 11-1.
You want to talk about unbearable?
11-1. But the loss was to Texas
They ain't
to
gonna
keep
care.
you out of the SEC championship.
I don't look. As long as they're in the playoff, I think it. Look, don't let perfect get in the way of thank you God finally. That I really think that's. And you know what? I understand it. I would 100% understand it. Where it would become crazy though, is if A&M's 11-0, Texas comes in there 9-2, with that one loss being in the non-con, and you lose to Texas, which puts Texas in the SEC championship game and really in the college football playoff. Y'all are both in the playoff, and you got to possibly see them again. That. Oh, boy.
that sucks.
All right, 2-1's pretty easy. Indiana, they're just.
I had Indiana at 1.
It's a slaughterhouse. Look, the committee may have them at 1 tonight.
I put them at 1.
Reaction right after that as well.
Kirk Signetti's, they're killing everybody.
Killing everybody.
Just killing everybody.
No prisoners, kill them all.
Yeah.
And then
And
number
they're
one.
padding, like, that's why I love Signetti. He just pads stats. He kept Mendoza in the whole game.
He's like, hey, run. You need to
The
run.
whole game, just padding stats. He's going to try to win you the Heisman. He's going to try to win you every award that's out there.
He's like me.
Every award that's
He was
out
like everybody growing up playing in the NCAA video.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
your guys won all the awards. That's what
Yeah.
Signetti's trying
He's
to
had
do.
your quarterback
more.
throw for
I want
1,400
more.
yards.
It took me
in that
3
game.
minutes to get to the screen of the trophies popping up.
want
at the end
more
the
of
year just
them.
'cause they're
Yeah, I
all
love
of
it.
them.
I love it.
And then Ohio State, number 1. I would not be shocked at all tonight when the
David,
playoff
y'all gonna beat them?
come out.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the Buckeyes keep playing this good, the only game they'll lose all season is to Michigan.
And then they'll just run through the playoff.
Win another championship.
They'll lose to Michigan 13-10.
Yeah, and then score 45 a game in the playoff.
Yeah.
No, I can understand people wanting A&M one. I can get that. I can understand, but you look at Ohio State. I know it wasn't pretty in the first half against Penn State. They were able to pull away in the second. It's status quo 1, 2, 3 right now for us. But again, things can change. It's just setting up to be so much fun. But any parting shots here, fellas?
No, I don't think so. I think we did well.
I think we did well, Tom.
I think we did well.
Yeah, I like this. Collective effort.
Collective effort. Do not forget tonight, the college football playoff rankings will be announced starting at 7 p.m. The minute you see them, come over to the YouTube channel at Crain & Company. We're going to be having an instant reaction to it. What we love, what we hate, what they got right, what they got wrong. It's probably going to be a little bit of both, and we want to know what you think in the comments. So let us know what you think about our power rankings. Let us know how you feel the committee is going to do tonight before it comes out, and make sure you're subbed as we're almost to 200,000. And like the chances of me not just being thrilled to see how this is going to play out. Because, I mean, there's it's a Rubik's Cube of scenarios right now that we've gotten cut.
Hold on.
You going to hand that to me?
Hold on.
Thank you.
I'm sick of you not throwing this.
Thank you. You're a good man.
It's like our signature
even better
thing,
woman.
Dude. Like, do it.
Thank you. Like the chances. Me not being excited about seeing how it plays out. We're going.
Yeah, baby, come on!
Oh,
Welcome back.
diabolical.
I tell you what. Get out of here. Just everybody leave. Now you ruined it.